The Bear has everything going for it. Initially dumped onto Hulu with little hype surrounding it, it managed to capture the hearts of millions with its flawed yet charming characters, singular exacting filmmaking, and positive word of mouth. And with the release of an arguably better second season, the show has managed to beat expectations at every turn. Now, with dozens of accolades later and the whole world intently waiting for the show's return, the creator Chris Storer and his team have a decision to make. Should we play the hits and further attempt to grow the audience? Should we continue with the formula that's brought us success by every metric and garnered every award nomination known to man? Should we give the audience what they want rather than what they don't know they want? Basically, should we play it safe? The premiere episode of The Bear Season 3 is unlike anything I've ever seen in television. And that's an important distinction to make, in television, because this 38-minute long episode feels much more an extended cinematic sequence from a film than it does a half-hour TV episode that's apparently a comedy, according to the Emmys. The word groundbreaking gets thrown around much too liberally. It might be more fitting to describe this turn as refreshing, something from left field that we weren't expecting, but it's the exact thing we didn't know we wanted. But for those that aren't as warm to this subversion, I think how someone might feel about this episode has a lot to do with the expectation they went into it with. If you go in with the expectation of wanting closure from where the show last left off, of wanting to get right back into the mix with the characters, you'll probably be disappointed. Because while the show does present the aftermath of the emotional catastrophes of the restaurant's successful opening night, this episode is much more interested in repaving the road to how we got to this current moment, treading the same ground in a new fashion. Almost like an extended recap, a previously on The Bear, but as an entire episode. It opens with Carmy coming back into the restaurant the next day and trying to put together the pieces in his own way. But the meat of the runtime can be characterized as a non-linear collage of moments. The moments that were pivotal to Carmy's development into the person he is today. We understand much of his pathology, of what drives him, but only through anecdotes, and only since he started working at the Beef. What of those moments that shaped him before we were introduced to him? What if we were able to view those moments without setting up some spin-off prequel series or completely halting the flow of the show? Through this episode, we get the best of both worlds, in the way that we witness past and present. We experience the past through Carmy's troubled personal life. We witness his ascension into the world of fine dining. We see him fall in love with food. And this is all sewn together with moments in the present, where the characters are dealing with the aftermath of that consequential night. And while it is a lot, it's all arranged with such precision that it doesn't feel lost at any point. There's a sense of total control, a method to the madness. Whether it's cutting back to Carmy working at Chef Terry's restaurant alongside some familiar faces, or him sharing his passion for food with his brother. Giving a face to the moments mentioned in passing throughout the show can feel like fan service if not done gracefully. And frankly, it can feel a bit like navel-gazing. But if the show evokes sentimentality without dwelling on any one moment, it feels genuine and almost natural. Moments like experiencing Chef Luca's perceived inferiority that he mentions to Marcus in Copenhagen. Moments like Sydney trying her favorite meal ever at Carmy's restaurant without fully comprehending the pain associated with that meal. Moments like the lead-up and aftermath of Michael's death. Some moments are as they were described, and others, like Carmy not being at Mikey's funeral, are shown to be purposeful lies that are lost in the fabric of time. And all of this is done under the backdrop of the music of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, whose composition accompanied the end of Season 2 and fittingly returns for the premiere of Season 3. Reznor has made a career on creating harsh yet atmospheric ambient music, and his pivot into scoring films is maybe the most seamless transition for any creative in recent history. While the song used was released years ago and not specifically for this show, you can imagine Chris Storer's infatuation with Reznor's music lends to him possibly writing this episode with this song in mind. The song Together that plays throughout is a piano melody built around 12 notes, and its somber, nostalgic tone conveys clearly the moments lost in time that shaped our characters. As with all Reznor-Ross compositions, the ambient noise builds throughout until it becomes the focal point. It becomes what the song is about. There may be a ham-fisted allegory about the noise becoming everything in the song as well as Carmy's life, but you didn't hear that from me. We can continue to gush about what the episode means for the show, but what does it mean for mainstream television? To be frank, almost nothing. And that's no fault of the show. It has everything to do with there being an absurd abundance of entertainment, both virtuous and disposable. And for there to be a seismic shift in the way things are done, something truly catastrophic in scale must occur. But meta-narrative aside, the fact that the showrunner for one of the most popular shows decided to take a risk of this magnitude, we can't let that go unmentioned or unappreciated. Attempting to set a precedent, even if no example is made of it, should be lauded, it should be relished. The reception seems to be lukewarm, with many not sure how to feel about it, but there is something undeniable. This episode tried something. It dared to deal with feelings and moments rather than exclusively dialogue and plot. It did away with television niceties in favor of a mood unworthy of words, only fully realized through a visual language of the author's volition. It has no peer. Turns out there is still space for mainstream shows to take major risks. In a world full of safe studio decisions, conventional plot structures, and lack of experimentation, it's always nice to see someone going for it. Or in familiar terms, letting it rip.